What I found out is most people, most people would just say yes, so make the calls, because what we do, everybody needs. I mean, here's the thing is everybody wants to retire one day, right? And everybody doesn't want their family to lose the house if they pass away prematurely. And everybody wants to get out of debt, right? Everybody wants everything we got. We may as well help them implement everything and be able to build an agency that helps tons of people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? So here's this. Another great quote is this, is remember this, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. Don't give up, you'll ruin his plan. And I wanted to share with you guys some of my numbers, because for me, the most terrifying time in the business for me was this. I actually had won about 5 company trips while I was going to college, going to Iowa State. And when I was graduating, I had a realization and coming to Jesus that, well, now life's real. I'm out of college. I have to go make something of myself, right? So I used that energy to be able to go propel myself, to be able to go over $50,000 in income. And here's what happened was this. My last 12 months part-time while I was in college in 2019, I personally did 21 recruits, 25,000 in premium, and about $241,000 of investment volume. And that paid me about $24,000 part-time right there. You could look at that however you want, but I was part-time just trying to make some extra money and having some fun, hanging out with my family, right? But here's this, my first 6 months full-time in the business, really turning it on in 2020. So this was the first 6 months. This was the last 12 months, right? I personally did 23 recruits, 19,000 in premium, almost $8 million of investments, and made $46,000. And that put me not only over 50,000, I went over $60,000 that month of income in 12 months, right? And that was huge, right? And I think that helped a lot of people in our office build belief in them. Now, here's my numbers when we went over 100,000, right? So trust the process. Here's what we did. We focused on being able to recruit and train directs and field train people in warm markets, helping people. And we just run it all based off the Easy 3 system. I think most people know what the Easy 3 is. It's 3 people that love and care about people the most. You want to get in front of those people first, because ultimately they want to know what you're up to. And they're going to give you great feedback and send you all kinds of people, right? But here's this. When I went over $100,000 of income, those 12 months, I did personally 41 recruits, $44,000 worth of premium, about $2.4 million worth of investment, and had 14 personal licenses, right? The team, we did 165 recruits, $125,000 worth of premium, $3.3 million worth of investments, right? And we did 43 new licenses on the team. And then here was all of 2022. I went RVP at the beginning of January, right? It was like a couple days into January, my promotion went through. And here's this, all in the base shop as a regional leader, the company paid me $135,624 in 2022. And the whole year I was a regional leader. So here's this, those 12 months personally, I did 36 recruits. So that's 3 directs a month. That's one thing my dad instilled in me brand new in the business, is you need to do 3 directs a month, no matter what. If you aren't doing 3 direct recruits a month, you're not being serious about being able to build a team. And here's this, did $66,000 worth of personal premium. That's a little over $5,000 a month. Nothing crazy. I mean, people all the time, like Leighton, you guys all know Leighton. He does like 30,000 personally a month, right? And $3.5 million worth of volume and 14 personal licenses, right? In the last 12 months on the team, we did 208 recruits, $171,000 worth of premium, $4.7 million worth of volume, and 46 personal licenses. And personally, I don't believe anything we're doing is really that crazy so far, but it just comes down to is day by day, we're just focused on trying to do the right things and be able to help people and develop people and help them bring out better in themselves than they could have on their own, right? So, and I know you guys have many great leaders in this, like the whole last 12 months, our team did 208 recruits. I mean, I know Edouard's team does over 100 a month. So I just tell you guys what it just comes down to is focusing on the right things day by day, and you'll attract the right people in your business. I know this is we're looking for the people that are looking for us, but they aren't just going to call us up. We have to go show them. And there's people out there, they're praying at the end of their bed for opportunity to be able to go change their life. They just didn't know we were out there, right? So here's this. I want to share with you all about start dreaming again, because I know this, people get started in our business, they have all their goals and dreams. And I don't know what happens, but I think everybody needs to rewrite out their goals on what they want to have happen with their business. And just know this is, if you knew everything you knew right now, say you've been in the business for 6-12 months, 6-12 months ago, think about how much further you would be in our business right now, right? So here's this. Growing up, we had a great life. Being a Primerica kid is just truthfully unbelievable. My father, he had freedom and he was able to be at everything that he wanted and needed to be at growing up. And we were able to do lots of different things. This was me actually when I was 14 years old, because in Iowa, so this was on a good day, because right now it's like negative degrees and it's snowing and like all that stuff. So this was like in the summertime, right? This was on like the first day of school. And my dad hadn't purchased me a car yet, but I had a school permit, and he had a Range Rover and then this, and he told me, he goes, well, I guess this is what you're going to drive to school. So this was me. He met me down at the bottom of the neighborhood and took a picture of me because he wanted to see how I was driving out of the neighborhood. And give it a couple weeks, I got pulled over going 80 in a 35 with that car. But I'll tell you guys, is life is awesome, right? Being a Primerica kid, and that's what the plate said right there. Life is good. And that was my first car right there. And I had a different car after I got pulled over going 80 in a 35, you could all imagine. But that was really fun though, I tell you guys. So here's this. Getting started in the business though, this was the first car I purchased on my own when I was going over 100,000 in income right here, right? And that's a Mercedes GLE coupe. It's an AMG. That was an awesome car, right? And I just know this is I usually like cars for about 12 months, and then I get something else because it's always fun to try something else out. So that was me trading that car in to get a Tesla. That one's even faster, which is awesome. And that was me going to trade it in. I saw a red one time when I was putting gas in the Mercedes, and that's when gas was like $5 a gallon or whatever. And I said, they're faster, you don't put gas in them. And that red just looked really good, I thought. So I said, I'm going to get me a red one with the white interior, and it drives itself completely. It goes 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, right? Super awesome. And I got really antsy because I no longer had a gas car and I no longer had a Mercedes anymore. I've always had a thing for those. If you guys like BMWs, and that's totally fine too. I just never would buy one. But I just bought that about 3 weeks ago. And I'm reliving all my childhood memories again in that car. So that's another SL 550. I put these black rims on it. An amazing car. And it's going to be really fun. So we're 2-car-ing it right now, right? And I tell you guys is that's the house I grew up in. And then if you look in the corner, you'll see the car that I drove after I got pulled over going 80 in a 35 right there. That one was kept outside, not in the garage. So here's this, but that's the house I grew up in. And that's like a sky overview of the pond in the backyard and the putting green. And downstairs we had a basketball court. My parents, the reason they built that house is they said they wanted to keep their family together, and they wanted us to have enough space to where we could go be by ourselves. We needed to be by ourselves. So we weren't all on top of each other, because I grew up with 4 other siblings. There was 5 of us, but all of our friends, if we ever wanted to have friends, they all wanted to come to our house growing up. So we had like a basketball court in the basement and a movie theater and all these things. And it was just really, really awesome. We were truthfully blessed to be a part of Primerica, right? And the company takes us on trips. So I wanted to share with you guys a few pictures of the first company trip that I ever won. I believe this is actually where I met Edouard, was on the Disney trip back in 2017. And I believe he was were you a future at this one, Edouard? Or which one were you a future at?
No, we met at convention, bro. On the Future and convention, like 3 conventions ago.
Got it. Okay. Well, here's this. I know for a fact you were on this trip. But here's this. This was in Disney in 2017. The reason I wanted to share with you these pictures is this was the first company trip I ever won. I was 19 years old. And I'll never forget being in 8th grade and the company takes us on these trips periodically, every so often. And I was in 8th grade. We were getting off the ferry, taking us from the like Disney World to the hotel. And my dad looks at me and he starts doing like math on his hands, right? And he says to me, he goes, David, if the company runs this trip again based off like how often I think they usually run them, you'd be like just old enough to be able to compete and be able to win the thing. And that was the first company trip I won it when I was 18. The company trip was when I was 19. And that was us at Blizzard Beach. We actually ran into Collis Temple there. That was me and Jacob taking a picture with Elsa, because you always got to take a picture with Elsa when you go to Disney World, right? That's me and Judy. We got our Futures jerseys there. And that was opening night. They shut down Hollywood Studios. And we all ran in like in that movie where, you know, they're all running in all in slow motion. And the company was taking pictures of us and all that. There's some really funny pictures in there of us. And here's this. Since then, the company, I've won 10 company trips now. I'll share with you guys a little bit about that. So Disney World was the first one. Edward, no, I met you at the home office one in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah, securities trip. I just remembered.
Yeah, that was like that weird one where if you won Disney, but you got your investment license during it, they like took you to the home office.
And you recruited X amount of people. It was a mix. They wanted to mix the recruiters and the securities producers.
I don't even know how I won that one. I just got an invite and I don't even know. But yeah, I was like, that was really fun though. But yeah, that's where I met you, because you were with Eric, right? At that trip.
Correct. Yeah, I brought him my +1.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, Disney World, they took us to the home office in Atlanta. We went to the big island in Hawaii, went and saw the volcanoes and live lava. That was super awesome. The Fountain Blue, that was the first company trip I actually took Haley on. And I'll tell you guys she's such a rock star. I tell you, she had never been on a plane until that company trip. She had never been on a plane before. A lot of us take things so much for granted. She would never change her childhood for anything. But I tell you guys that she had never been on a plane until that Miami trip. We went to the Hard Rock Punta Cana, the Baja Mar, right? Universal Studios Orlando, the JW Marriott Marco Island, the Broadmoor, and then we're going back to the Baja Mar here in the next week. And currently, right now, as you all know, is they're running the trip to the Diplomat. And the benefit a lot of you have is maybe you're brand new in the business, maybe you've been around, maybe you're winning, maybe you're not. It doesn't make a difference. There's a few on here I know for sure that I've won because of the reset. And if you go out and do your personal 1 recruit and 3,000 in premium, the company's giving you all the points to put you in the last winning slot. So say there's 1,000 people in your category or more, and there's 100 slots. They give you all the points that a 100 slot has by just doing 1 recruit and 3,000 in business and getting things turned on over the next 90 days at the end of the contest, right? And this right here, my grandfather is actually the one who started all this. What happened was is one of my Uncle Rod's classmates, one of my dad and his brother's classmates on Christmas Eve day shared with my grandpa what we were doing, because he said it was something that maybe his boys would be interested in. Because they were all in college. My grandfather had 5 boys in college all at one time, and none of them knew what they were going to do because they all grew up on a farm. But you divide a farm by 5 and you have no farms anymore. So they showed my grandfather this. My grandpa was actually paying $10,000 a year for a bunch of cash value life insurance. They could do the same thing for $3,000 a year. And you guys got to think about this. That sounds like a lot right now. This was in 1989. That would be equivalent to someone paying like $25,000, $30,000 a year for cash value life insurance right now. And you meet all these infinity bankers and all this stuff now in Florida, especially, I can imagine. He was like the beginning of infinity banking, right? Paying $10,000 a year in, do the same thing for $3,000 a year. And he was on fire because he knew all of his friends had the same exact thing going on. And he got started here simply just to train his boys, and they all became regional vice presidents. And they took that picture there because they give you this ring when you make over $100,000 a year in income with Primerica or more. And they all had gotten their rings, and they took this picture. And since then, my grandfather's passed, and rest in peace to him. He was an unbelievable leader for our family. But that was me and Haley at the last convention getting our plaque for going over $100,000 in income. And we had our rings at the convention, which is awesome. And then here's the company convention. There was 70,000 people there. That was, they had our names up there. I don't know if they planned this or if there's a technical glitch, but like, I just tell you, I can't tell you how many pictures we got because our names were up there for probably 3 minutes. Most people's names are up there for like 15 seconds at most. And it was really, really awesome in front of all the people. And just in January, I signed the contract to become a regional vice president. We are so, so blessed to be able to be a part of a 3-generation Primerica business, be able to do that. I got plugged in here because I knew the system worked, but I did everything myself. And I know this is, my dad told me when I got started here, he said, you have 4 siblings, you'll get 1/5 of what I did and 100% of what you do. And your 5th with me will be a lot. It's enough to probably just come to work. And I think that's what a lot of people want to do for their kids coming to work here. But here's the thing is, definitely plan on having your 100% of yours be more than what you get for me. And that's our mission right now, is to be able to go drive this thing to 300,000 a year of income this year now and get ownership, right, as a regional vice president. And here's this. Many of you guys know the name Shane Rudeman. What he said is, I believe your dreams are a gift from God, and what you do with them is your gift back. So I want you all to start dreaming again. And I want to tell you all, thank you for your time. And I know Edouard wanted me to share a little bit on securities. I tell you this is nothing I really do on securities are really that crazy. I know I was talking to Anthony Georgescu last night on the phone. He said, David, are you going to get on here and go through the 7 reasons why to roll a 401k and then say peace out to everybody? And I said to him, I go, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe I could, I guess. But here's this is, I'll share this with Edouard. I know I've done it before, but here's this is, I did like a $900,000 investment for someone last month. It was part of the like 1.3, 1.4 million I did. Just going through the first 3 things on here. I think you guys will really get a lot of value out of this, but a lot of people don't really know how this stuff works. And I just want to be able to let you know there's these tools and things you can use. So here's this is, people want to know, like, say they have a 401k at a job, why do they need to roll it over? Like, why does it even make sense? Here's the 7 reasons why people should do it. Okay, here's this. Number 1 is the client has an advisor, not an 800 number. You as the rep have a vested interest in their account, so sell yourself as being able to be an asset to them, right? Rather than just calling an 800 number, waiting on hold for a half hour, and then talking to somebody who barely speaks English on how to be able to help you with your, tens of hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Right. So you have a limited number of investment choices. I don't know if most of you have looked at a 401k statement before, but 9 out of 10 times people's 401ks are all invested in one fund based off a target year of when they're going to go retire. So say you're whatever years old right now, and you're going to be 65-ish in the year of 2055, you'll have $250,000 all in one fund based off you generically retiring in 2055. How great does that sound? Well, with us, you'd have a limited number of investment choices. We put together a portfolio to be able to help you be able to maximize your return and minimize your risk, and you'd have a person to work with, right? Mergers and acquisitions, bankruptcies, and the likelihood time that the plan administrator changes can freeze your 401k assets for up to 2 years. Who in here has ever heard of a blackout? I had never heard of a blackout. I truthfully thought it was made up until I had a client call because they were retiring. And the 401k plan was deciding that they were switching from one carrier to another, and she hadn't worked there in years, so had no idea this was going on. They were in blackout. They couldn't tell her how much was in her account. She had no access to her money. And thankfully, they'd been going through blackout for about a year already, so there's only about 2 weeks left, because otherwise, imagine if we'd called 6 months prior. So guess what she did 2 weeks later, as soon as they were out of blackout? She rolled her 401k into an IRA, because a 401k, truthfully, if you look at a 401k statement, you'll see at the 401k plan, you are a participant of the company who owns the plan. In an IRA, it's called an IRA because it's an individual retirement account. you're the owner of the plan. Don't you think it makes more sense to have your money in an IRA that you own rather than be a participant in a 401k at a company you don't even work at anymore? Right? Stretch beneficiaries only available in an IRA. Say you have your money in a 401k and you die, only a spouse is entitled to the tax break. If it's left to your kids, family, or anything, it's liable for them to pay the taxes immediately. So that $900,000 one, this is the one that sold it to her. I went through that with her and she goes, what do you mean? It sounds like this. I 100% need to do this because my children are my beneficiary on my 401k. I go, well, yeah, because you have 900,000 in there. You have 2 girls. If you passed away, that's 450,000. They would have going to their name. It would add 450,000 of income onto their life that year, and they would owe taxes on all of it immediately. But if it's in an IRA, they would inherit it into what's called a beneficiary IRA, where they'd be able to take equal distributions based off their life expectancy, have it in funds that would be able to grow, and they'd be able to stretch the taxes either over their life expectancy and grow the money, or be able to take equal, or be able to take the distributions over 5 years rather than all of them just in 1 year. Pretty big benefit, right? Number 5 is this. Usually I don't have to go this far with people. Usually they're like, okay, done. I understand why this makes sense. And you call the company, they cut the check over the phone, open an account, it's done, right? Or you open the account, then you call the company, but you get the idea. 72T distributions allows you to roll a 401k and take monthly distributions with no penalty. A section of the IRS tax code allows for equal payments for 5 years or until 59.5, whichever is longer. Client will need to pay the taxes and withdrawals, but have no penalties, right? So that's what I was talking about there. Number 6, fees for mortality and expense charges in a 401k. 3 of 4 401ks have variable annuities in them, which charge more fees than mutual funds would. Dollar cost averaging protects against volatility when you're young. Usually better to pay upfront sales charges versus ongoing annual sales charges, right? And number 7 is this. Someone is just making money off of your money and they're giving you no service, especially if you don't work there anymore. It would just make sense to work with someone like myself who would be able to give you personalized service. You don't have a 1-800 number, and you'll be able to get your money in your own name rather than being a participant of a 401k plan that you no longer work at the company at, right? And I tell you guys is if you just implement this, and I'll get this slide to Edouard, but here's this. If you just implement this whenever you run into a 401k where somebody doesn't work at the company anymore, I think you'll get all of them. And I just tell you guys is this. I want to go through some of like my most recent trades because I want to share with you guys like really like how like nothing I'm doing is really that crazy. I have this in my notes. Okay. Here's some ideas on how to be able to become to do securities. Most everything I do is through field training. I think it's easier to talk to someone about making money than simply making a sale and selling them life insurance or whatever it might be. The cool thing about what we do is everybody needs life insurance, but we're also talking to people about investing, which also makes them money, which is a very cool thing, right? And then I wanted to share with you is a lot of times people, they get really like, you don't make a whole lot of money helping somebody put $50 or $100 a month away because you make like what? Somewhere between 1% and 5%, right? On that. So say they're putting $50 or $100 a month away, and you make $1 or $3 a month every time they put money away. A lot of people, they're like, well, why am I wasting my time like driving 20 minutes to go do this or getting on the Zoom or even anything for $100 a month investment into a Roth IRA? Well, I'll tell you this. I have a buddy who's my age, and when we were both, 20 or so, I just told him I max out my Roth IRA every year. I put my 6,500 in, and he was telling me, he goes, why do you do that? Well, I just showed him a couple of things and said, you need to start putting at least $50, $100 a month in here. So he started putting $100 a month in, and you don't really make a whole lot of money for doing that. But a year or two later, he calls me and says, hey, my grandfather's retiring, and you do investments. They were telling him he needs to like move it out of the 401k into this thing called an IRA. Do you do that? And that led to about a $300,000 rollover. And during the process, he told his best friend what was going on, and his friend rolled over about $400,000 with me. Right? So here's this is, don't overlook things just because of the volume of it. Treat everybody great and just set up as many monthly PACs as you can, because you want to have your name on as many pieces of paper as you can going around, right? And a lot of it comes from client follow-up and referrals, like I was telling you guys, like that one right there. And I just tell you guys this is never burn any bridges. One of my bigger clients one time moved their money away to another institution. And I asked her why, just because I was curious. I didn't know if like I did something wrong or what it was. And she told me, she goes, well, the reason I'm doing it is really because I don't really care for the company per se, but the person I'm moving my money with is my best friend from when I was 10 years old. We're neighbors. And I couldn't really argue that one. So, but it was what it was. Come to find out, about 6 to 12 months later, the company he was working for, most people don't know this, but because Primerica, because we're independent, we have ownership of everything we do. Like, they let us get a lot of free reign on things. This guy wanted to buy a building. Imagine this, like, say you recruited somebody, they wanted to buy a building to be able to run Primerica out of. How excited you would be. This company, they told him, they go, we don't want you buying a building because we want you under our thumb, working out of our office. Because what they're scared of is this, is people don't realize this, but like if you work as an employee of a financial advising place, because they own you and supply you all these things, they pay you significantly less than they would pay someone like us on our securities trades that we do. And they wanted to keep him under their thumb. And because he bought this building, they were scared that he was going to learn everything from them and leave to go work at a place like us. And he had no anticipation of doing that. But because of that, they started freaking out, started putting all these things. They fired him, put all these things on his broker check on FINRA, about 3 or 4 different things. And he will probably never be able to get hired by another financial advising or investment company in the entire industry. And just last month, she moved her money back with us. So treat everybody great, because you never know what's going to happen. And stuff like that happens all the time. I know this is most everything that I've done has came from field training and recruiting and training people in warm markets. But I tell you is this, is you get good at follow-up. People will send people to you forever, and they'll be able to create a legacy for you and your family and for your kids. And that's like how my family is 3 generations deep now of ring wearers, and have been able to make the kind of impact and so many people's lives, which is truly a blessing. So I hope that gives people a lot of value and things they could go use, and inspires some of you on this Tuesday morning to be able to go change your life. And if anybody has any questions, I can hang out if you guys have time for that, or are looking for me to do that. And if you guys have other things to cover, then appreciate everybody's time. So.
That was awesome, dude. That was awesome. That was really, really good. You freaking killed it. Took so many notes. Does anyone have some questions for David? We have about 10 minutes that we can just kind of go ahead. So just unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, David. First off, that was incredible. Such an inspiration, especially, me having children in the business. And I'm like, I want them to grow up and be like, look at the house that we grew up in, right? And it's already established, looking good, right? So that's really inspirational. But I wanted to ask you, you were doing really, really great numbers, big numbers. And so I was wondering, like, what was keeping you from going RVP at that time once you, hit those great numbers?
It's a great question. Edouard, I think you asked me this before. What did I tell people?
I was actually texting someone that are saying if they can ask the question. So
You're fine. Here. Okay. Edouard asked me this like a little while back. So I was just, truthfully, I know this is, you want to set an example when you go regional vice president for what you want your people to do. I never expect somebody to make $100,000 in the base shop getting trained by me, unless that's something that they really wanted to go do. But I wanted to do things big, so that way then people knew that people do it big going out. It's that way then we don't have weak RVPs, is the idea. And my mission was this, is I wanted, my recruiting and premium numbers were maybe relatively low compared to that. Like I wanted to at least do 25 and 25,000 2 months in a row before I went regional vice president. So yeah, compared to the securities volume, right? But
Awesome.
yeah, I just want to show you guys I mean, people should make money at all contract levels though. You get good at being able to get people in the field fast and being able to help people with all the products and developing people and helping them get licensed and trained. Making money shouldn't be a problem. It just comes down to is I draw out your team and the activity you have going on, and everybody knows what 8531 is. If you don't get with your trainer and have them draw 8531 with you. And I would just tell myself every night when I was brand new in the business, truthfully, I am irresponsible if I'm not making money here at Primerica. Right? So yeah, that's I hope that kind of answers your question. But yeah, I wanted to go out big and set an example though, was the idea. So we were doing things and just I wanted to show, I don't want somebody to go out bigger than me or have to feel like there's an expectation they had to do more than I did or ask what I did when I went regional vice president and have it be maybe potentially weak, in my opinion, compared to other things I've seen in the company. If you look at the below RVP numbers for North America. So yeah, what other questions do people have?
I have a question, David.
Yeah.
What does a productive day look like? Because thank you for coming on here and taking out that limiting belief of some folks thinking that you can't make money below RVP, right? Clearly making 135,000 on your own time, 24 years old, right? What are some of the, what are some of the day-to-day action that you recommend? What does that look like for everybody on here?
I'll answer this two ways. One is I always tell people here, you guys all follow the jar like Miguel Illich, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I use the jar system. And I just tell you guys every day I'd focus on one recruit, one policy, one life license, or at least being on 3 presentations or getting 5 new name and numbers or 10 new names numbers, right? Would be that, right? But I tell you guys it's pretty hard to be on 3 presentations a day and also not recruit somebody or write a policy at the same time. So you should be getting more than one piece of paper in a day, right? But here's what my day looks like today. I'm sure there's people on here that maybe have more activity than me, but after this, I'm training the team as soon as I get off on how to be able to win the company trip that's going on and the reset and how that all works. And then that's at 9:30 my time because I'm an hour behind you guys. And then at 10:15, I have an appointment. Then I got an 11, then I got a noon, then I got a 1, then I got a 4:30, and then I have a 7. So I'm sure other people have a busier day than me. But I just tell you guys if you don't I almost want to get double booked because things always end up working out. And you want to develop leaders outside of yourself. So that way, then if you do end up getting double booked, you have somebody else to be able to go do that appointment to fill it for you. Right. And then you can have them split you or whatever. Yeah.
Are those training appointments? Or are those all personal?
10:15 is a training. 11 is a field training. The noon's a recruiting meeting I set up myself. The 1 o'clock's field training, the 4:30 is field training, and the 7 o'clock is field training. So yeah, they're basically all field training or recruiting. Yeah. Yeah. So
it's a good question. There's a few other ones. I think, was it Melissa or somebody else was asking? Go ahead, guys. Just unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hey, David.
Yeah, what up?
It's Leighton, brother. For some reason I can't see you on the screen. I don't know if you're.
I was on your call last night.
Appreciate that, but appreciate that for you getting on the call. Getting on the call. I don't know if you mentioned that earlier because I had you hear in the background someone here fixing the office.
Yeah.
What inspired you as a second gen, but I think third gen, or second gen to your father that second gen to your father that had a great quality of life growing up, you know, a nice house, car, et cetera, et cetera. When your struggles were different, what inspired you to say, you know what, I want to make my name of David Reis instead of, you know, that's being a shadow of your father? What do you think was the number one, a few things that inspire you, for those of us who have kids on the call or future kids, what inspired you to say, I want to make my name?
That is a great question. I believe truthfully what did it was this is growing up, my dad always told me is this, like I was saying, I mean, you get a fifth of what I did and 100% of what you do is what he told me, because I have 4 siblings. And just the quality of life we had growing up, like I knew this is when I got out in the real world, I wasn't going to be able to live in a $2 million house unless I made my own money and be able to drive cars like that. I didn't know of another vehicle other than this that I could go make that life for myself. And that's maybe like the biggest reason why I got started here. And I think a lot of people, they get started here simply just maybe because of the money, which is because they see people making money here. But what happened to me was this is when I was on, like, it was my second or third presentation, one of my coaches was paying $8,000 a year for a bunch of cash value life insurance. And we could do the same thing for $2,000 a year. When we helped him, that's when I really turned it on, because I became like a crusader in what we were doing. And the check that I got, I realized like I can make big money helping people doing something. And I just tell you guys this is maybe what did it for me more so than anything is I saw people having success here, and I went and got on 10 presentations as fast as I could so I could see what it all looks like. Primerica is a lot bigger than simply just making money because of what we're able to do for people. The clients win better than we do, right? I mean, sure, you sell a client a policy, but if they pass away prematurely, they're probably going to lose the house if they never met us, right? There was a point in time where I had 4 clients die in 4 months. Right. And every single one of them, their family was crying because they knew they would have lost the house, but if they never would have met me. Right. And that's not something like I did. I just got involved with our company and educated people on this. Right. But I don't know. I mean, I hope that kind of answers your question. I fell in love with the crusade of how we help people. It was bigger than me, and it was bigger than making money. But I knew that this is if there wasn't an opportunity to make 6 figures, I probably also wasn't interested in that either. And I saw people having success here in my own family, which helped a lot too.
Thank you, David, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll give you one. Yeah.
I
One
also
thing-
do. Thanks so much for sharing. I just wanted to ask you, I know you mentioned like building leaders is something that's key. So what is your recommendation as to like building leaders? Like what kind of advice would you give?
There's a point in time where everybody, here's one thing I had to come to terms with in the past 12 months myself, because I've been in the business a while and I want to develop leaders. But if you baby people and stay with them for too long, they never become independent. And there's a period of time where like I went out and did appointments and I probably wasn't ready to go do them, but like I knew how to do it. We do ours all based off like a 2-step where we do a presentation and we gather information and go back. But what I did is I just told people as I go, you go do the presentation and here's the questions you ask at the end. We have a form for it. They write it down and then get commitments, and I go back with them now. So that way then it helps them become more independent faster. Because if you baby people for too long, they never become independent and they never grow the confidence that they need to be able to become an independent leader on their own, right? And nobody ever feels ready to go become an independent leader. It's kind of something you have to do is you just have to skill up as quick as you can and just come to terms with you're going to mess things up. And there's going to be sales you miss. And there's going to be times where you're going to look back 12 months ago and wish, if I knew what I knew now, like there's probably people that saw what I covered this morning and they're like, man, if I knew this 6 months ago when I was showing so-and-so this, I for sure would have got that one. Right? It all comes down to just continuing to skill up. You can always go back as long as you don't burn bridges though, or do something crazy too. It's all about just getting good as quick as you can and getting independent. Nobody ever feels ready, but I do things on a two-step presentation. So I tell people, go do the presentation, gather the questions, and I'll go back and help you write the sales. personally. So
David, what is your degree in? What licenses do you have? And what are your 3 mutual funds that you pick right now?
great question. It depends on the client, but my degree, I studied ag business at Iowa State.
Cyclo.
Yeah, Cyclones, right? Yeah. I went to Iowa State and studied ag business. It's pretty funny. They let 18-year-olds pick a degree in something that they think they're going to do for the rest of their life. And then maybe at most 40% of them that even do graduate use their degree. But I studied ag business. The reason I picked that was my grandparents have farms. My father works here. I thought it was right in the middle. Iowa State was number 2 in the nation behind TCU for ag business. So it just made sense to me. And what was your second question?
What licenses do you have?
I have life, SIE 6, 63, 26. I'll get my 65 and mortgage eventually, but those are the ones I have right now. Just what you need to have to be like an RVP.
And then to answer your question, let's do a starter 3 mutual fund. IRA, 6,500, Roth. What are you sticking them in?
I have a grid for that. I'll send Edouard that. It's from, do you guys know Kurt Poole? He's up in Wisconsin, but he's a big securities producer, but he makes like 600 grand a year. Isn't that crazy? I mean, if people don't know who Kurt Poole is, he makes like 600-700 grand a year up in Wisconsin. Nobody knows who he is. And but here's this. Aggressive growth, like the 4 funds I would use based off the grid, is I just use a grid so that way it's easy. It's LCLAX, FKDNX, LBGAX, and SOPAX, 25% in all of them. So that's not to like make any specific fund recommendations or anything like that, but like I have a grid for it, and then you go through the questions on the application, it tells you what they are, and just keeps it really easy that way so you can't mess it up. So people call me. Like I get calls all the time. People ask me, they go, so what funds are you using? I go, you have my grid. You know what I'm doing. I didn't invent any of it. So yeah, that's what I use Franklin Templeton though, primarily. Well, how I sell that is it's what I use, it's what my father, Tom, uses. We both believe in it for our own money. It's primarily what we use our clients when it comes to that. And then if people are 45 or older and real nervous about the market, I would use like a Bright House Shield. That's like the one where they have to put 25 grand in up front for sure, but they have the negative buffer. And it's in the S&P, where they get S&P performance. It's that one. So yeah. We do a lot of Franklin Templetons and a lot of Bright House Shield. So yeah. So that's primarily what we do. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Leighton, I wanted to kind of come back. I kind of have a story I'll share with you guys just real quick. Here's kind of growing up, what it was like in my family. My parents always instilled in us this is all like the Primerica principles. When I was in like 5th grade, now imagine, here's this, you talk to your 5th grader like this, right? My dad told me I was complaining one day after football practice about how tired I was. Cause you know how like during the beginning of the season, they have you do all the sprints at the very end. And you're already tired, but then they have you do all the sprints at the end. And I was complaining to him afterwards about how tired I was and why do they have us do the sprints at the end and all this. And he said to me, he goes, David, you don't think everybody else is tired? He goes, that's what defines winners versus losers. Is when you're tired just like them, are you going to keep pushing or are you going to let up? Right? And from that day, I always focused on trying to be number 1 in all the sprints at the very end. I was never the fastest, but I was always in the top 5 in the sprints at the end. And some people, they like that. Some people make fun of you because you're a tryhard. I don't think it really matters. I just think it comes down to is what do you focus on a day-to-day basis to go become a winner, right? Because Primerica is not like a talent thing or an athleticism thing or anything like sports is. It's all what do you focus on a day-to-day basis to get better, to be able to skill up and grow your activity, right? So I hope that helped people too. I saw a bunch of comments from that. So
That's awesome, dude. Well, bro, you freaking killed it. I think you definitely trained everybody up here. I mean, it was just awesome. And more than anything, I think you just really just lifted limiting beliefs of people. You guys hear that? Regional leader making $100,000. Okay, duly licensed. You can do it. He can do it, right? Anyone can do this business. This is how you make 100. This is not something that happened years ago. I mean, this happened last year, right? During Zoom, 135,000 in commissions, right, guys? So if David can do it, all of us can do it. Well, guys, we're excited. We're gonna kill it today. Yeah, and then if you're at the office, the Wi-Fi is not working till 12. Okay, so I'm just giving you guys a heads up. Okay, David, thank you so much for giving on with us, man. We really appreciate you, man, and we love you. And everybody, just say a big thank you to David before we log off.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
David. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, my dog. Good job.
Thank you, everybody. It was an honor.
That was
Thank you,
fire.
bro.
Good
Appreciate
job,
it.
good job.
That was fire.
That's fire.
Let's go.
Let's go, guys. Great to hear.